Have you ever found yourself in that familiar place, that unsettling déjà vu within a relationship, where the same old argument resurfaces, wearing a new disguise but carrying the same sting? Perhaps it's the quiet frustration of feeling misunderstood, the ache of not being truly seen, or the gnawing anxiety that stems from a partner's silence. You might find yourself caught in a pattern, a recurring loop of hope and disappointment, observing the same fundamental discord repeating itself often, with different faces, different scenarios, yet the underlying current feels eerily identical. You might believe in those moments of quiet despair that the problem lies entirely with the other person, or perhaps even with some inherent flaw within yourself. You might feel the exhaustion of constantly trying to be the perfect woman, poised, independent, fascinating, only to still feel like an option, not the absolute choice. This profound sense of repetition, this seemingly endless cycle of emotional turbulence in romantic partnerships is not a coincidence. It is not merely a string of bad luck or an unfortunate alignment of personalities. From the perspective of Raja Yoga and Vedic wisdom, these recurring conflicts are often echoes of deeper internal patterns, reverberations of mental habits and spiritual attachments that we, often unconsciously, cultivate within ourselves. The external battle, the verbal exchange, the cold silence, these are but symptoms, outer manifestations of an inner disquiet. It's an urgent call for you to turn inward, to apply the lens of lucidity to your own internal landscape, and to understand the true source of these repetitive relational challenges. Consider for a moment the profound concept of the you, the true self, as taught by Yoga Ramacharaka. The you is your center, your core of unshakable power, your essence. Around this you orbits the mind, the emotions, the body, all instruments, not masters. Yet so often we allow these instruments, particularly the mind, with its incessant chatter and projections, to take the throne. We identify with the fleeting thoughts, the tumultuous emotions, the desires for external validation, mistaking them for who we truly are. This identification with the non-you, with the mind's narratives, with the emotions triggered by external events, is the foundational error that perpetuates suffering in relationships. When your peace of mind hinges precariously on a text message, an acknowledgement, or a specific reaction from another, you are not centered in your you. You are allowing the planets, emotions, thoughts, to dictate the orbit of your sun, the you, rather than the other way around. The pain you feel, the frustration of these endless relationship battles is not meant to destroy you. It is the voice of your you real, gently but persistently asking to be heard, to be reclaimed. It is a profound invitation to shift your focus from attempting to control the external world, the other person, their reactions, the outcome of the relationship, to mastering your internal kingdom. The true battlefield is not between you and your partner, but between your sovereign you and your undisciplined mind. Many women, deep in their hearts, seek a profound soul-level connection, a partnership that elevates them. Yet, they often find themselves entangled in dynamics that deplete them, leaving them feeling invisible, unheard, or taken for granted. This discrepancy arises because we often mistake intense initial chemistry, which is often a potent mix of projection, past wounds, and karmic resonance, for genuine conscious love. True love, as per Vedic philosophy, is not a volatile surge of emotion, but a steady, conscious flow of reverence, understanding, and self-possession. It is a devotion that liberates, not binds. The common advice to love yourself more rings hollow when one does not understand how to access that self-love, how to cultivate that unshakable self-esteem that comes from knowing your own you. It is not about self-love as a superficial affirmation, but as a profound state of being, where your inner equilibrium is undisturbed by external fluctuations. In the journey of relationships, we often confront our deepest fears: the fear of abandonment, the terror of not being chosen, the anxiety of silence, the confusion between genuine intimacy an intoxicating illusion. These fears, like shadows, chase us from one relationship to the next, subtly shaping our interactions and fueling the very conflicts we wish to escape. This is where the wisdom of Raja Yoga becomes a powerful beacon. It offers a path to observe these mental fluctuations, these vrittis, without becoming consumed by them. It provides the tools to cultivate the will, the potent force of your you, to direct your mind rather than be directed by it. Today, we delve into 3 fundamental mental errors that, from a yogic perspective, lie at Taoism, the heart of these persistent relationship struggles. These are not about blaming yourself or your partner, but about offering a lucid diagnosis, a profound understanding that empowers you to transcend these cycles. We will explore how identifying and correcting these internal errors can transform not just your relationships, but the very fabric of your inner peace. This journey is not about changing him, but about reclaiming yourself, your sovereign you, and becoming the unshakable center of your own universe. It's time to move beyond superficial advice and embrace a deeper, more profound truth about love, connection, and the magnificent power that resides within you. The first mental error that perpetually fuels recurring arguments, often disguised as simple disagreements, is what we call the Poinzy error of emotional identification. This is the almost automatic tendency to merge your sovereign you with the transient emotional states that arise within you during moments of relational tension. Consider it like this. Your mind is a vast sky, and emotions are the clouds passing through. The you is the boundless, eternal sky itself, unaffected by the clouds. Yet, in the heat of an argument, or when faced with a partner's perceived distance or silence, most of us instinctively become the cloud. We become the anger, the anxiety, the fear, the pain, rather than remaining the observing sky. This fundamental misidentification is at the root of much suffering. When you identify with the feeling of anxiety waiting for his text, you are no longer the sovereign you observing anxiety. You are anxiety itself. When you feel the sting of an unfulfilled expectation during a disagreement and allow that sting to define your entire state of being, you have stepped away from your center. Your sense of self-worth becomes intertwined with the immediate emotional reaction, making you reactive rather than responsive. This is not about suppressing emotions. It is about cultivating the inner space to observe them without becoming enslaved by them. As the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali teach, the calming of the fluctuations of the mind, vrittis, is the path to peace. When your mind is agitated by emotional identification, it creates further turbulence in the external relationship. The pain you feel in these moments, the tightening in your chest, the racing thoughts, the urgent need for resolution or validation, this is the non-you clamoring for attention. It is the ego, the conditioned mind, reacting based on past experiences and ingrained patterns. It wants to control the narrative, to protect itself, to be right. But the you simply observes. It knows that an emotion, like a wave, rises, peaks, and recedes. If you cling to the wave, you will be pulled under. If you observe it from the shore, you remain safe and grounded. This error is profoundly linked to the desire to be chosen or to be priority. When the mind is identified with the fear of abandonment, any perceived slight, any moment of distance, can trigger a cascade of intensely painful emotions. These emotions then cloud your judgment, leading to actions or words that are born out of desperation rather than clarity. You might become demanding, clingy, or even passive-aggressive, all driven by the underlying fear and your identification with it. The repeated fights often stem from this. One partner acts, the other reacts from a place of emotional identification, and the cycle escalates, devoid of true understanding or sovereign presence. Consider a practical application of Raja Yoga here. When you feel the familiar surge of frustration or anxiety during a disagreement, or when he pulls away, pause. Do not immediately respond or react. Instead, bring your attention inward. Notice the physical sensations associated with the emotion. Is there tension in your jaw? A knot in your stomach? A pressure behind your eyes? Observe these sensations without judgment. Then, gently bring your attention to your breath. Breathe deeply, consciously. As you do this, mentally state to yourself, I am observing anger, or I am observing anxiety. The key is to use the phrase I am observing rather than I am angry or I am anxious. This subtle shift in language creates a crucial psychological distance between you, the observer, and the emotion, the observed. This is not easy. Your mind, accustomed to governing, will protest. It will want to jump into action, to solve, to react. Acknowledge this protest. Thank you, mind, for showing me your habit. Now, gently, I am choosing to observe. This act of gentle redirection, repeated consistently, begins to forge your will. It strengthens the muscle of your you, positioning it as the master of your internal house. The more you practice this disidentification, the less power your emotions will have over your actions, and the less likely you are to engage in repetitive, emotionally charged arguments that lead nowhere but further frustration. This discipline allows you to use his silence, or the tension in the air, not as a source of suffering, but as a retreat, an opportunity to recenter in your own sovereign you. This is where true power resides. The second mental error that consistently feeds into the painful cycle of recurring arguments is the wider error of projection and unmet needs. This error manifests when we unconsciously project our deepest desires, unhealed wounds, and idealized notions onto our partner, expecting them to fulfill an internal void that only our sovereign you can truly fill. This is intricately tied to the human tendency to seek completion outside of oneself, a natural but often misdirected spiritual longing. We fall in love not with the person standing before us, but with the potential, the fantasy, or the archetypal figure we've painted in our minds, often based on our own past experiences, traumas, or deeply ingrained societal narratives about love. This projection creates an illusion, the passion avassaladora, the overwhelming passion that often characterizes the initial stages of a relationship, is frequently a potent cocktail of this projection. It feels like a soul connection, a profound resonance, but it is often the recognition of a reflection of our own internal landscape, a mirroring of our own desires and unmet needs. When reality inevitably fails to match this intricate projection, disappointment sets in, often, leading to arguments born from unmet, often unspoken expectations. Why isn't he fulfilling this deep need of mine? Becomes the unspoken question, which then translates into frustration, resentment, and conflict when the answer doesn't align with the internal script. From a Vedic perspective, every relationship is a field for the purification of karma. Our attractions are not random. They are often karmic debts or lessons we need to learn. When we repeatedly attract a certain type or experience the same kind of relational pattern, be it distance, unavailability, or miscommunication, it is a clear signal from the universe that there is an internal lesson, a karmic knot that needs to be untangled within ourselves. The partner becomes a mirror, reflecting back to us not who they are entirely, but what we need to see within ourselves to heal and evolve. The repeated fights are often the universe's persistent way of highlighting this pattern, urging us to look beyond the superficial dynamics and delve into the root cause within our own consciousness. Consider Radha's devotion in Bhakti Yoga. Her love for Krishna is complete, yet it does not diminish her own identity. It is a devotion born of fullness, not of lack. She teaches us to love with surrender, yes, but also with an unwavering sense of self. The error of projection occurs when our devotion to a human partner becomes a form of dependence, an attempt to make them our source of joy, peace, or validation, rather than the you itself. This subtly drains your power, making you vulnerable to the actions and reactions of another, and inevitably leading to the frustration that sparks conflicts. A powerful Raja Yoga technique to address this error is the self-reflection of needs. When you find yourself in a recurring argument, or feeling deeply frustrated by your partner's actions or inactions, pause and ask yourself, what deep need am I seeking to fulfill through this situation or through his response? Is it validation, security, affection, control? Identify the core need. Then, take it a step further. Can my sovereign you fulfill this need from within? Can I validate myself? Can I cultivate my own sense of security and peace? Can I give myself the affection I seek? This exercise is not about becoming self-sufficient in a cold, isolated way. It is about becoming auto-centered, centered in your true self, so that any love, validation, or joy received from another is a beautiful compliment, a bonus, rather than a desperate necessity. When you approach a relationship from a place of fullness rather than emptiness, the dynamic shifts profoundly. You cease to project the burden of your internal voids onto your partner, and the arguments stemming from these unmet, externalized expectations begin to dissipate. This is the alchemy of transmuting craving into attraction. The less you need him to fill you, the more your authentic, radiant you attracts conscious connection. The third mental error that relentlessly feeds the same recurring arguments, keeping you trapped in a loop of frustration, is the ire error of external control and mind reading. This mistake is rooted in the subtle, often unconscious belief that your inner peace and the success of the relationship depend on your ability to control your partner's thoughts, feelings, or actions, or to perfectly anticipate and understand their internal state. This manifests as an obsessive focus on what he's thinking, what he feels, or how to make him do X or Y, rather than a disciplined focus on mastering your own internal landscape. This error is a direct contravention of the principles of Raja Yoga, which emphasizes self-mastery above all else. Your sphere of influence from a yogic perspective is primarily your own mind, your own will, your own you. Attempting to control or even fully comprehend another's internal world is not only futile, but also a profound diversion of your precious mental energy. When you try to fix him, change him, or decode his every nuance, you are dissipating your power outward, rather than consolidating it within. This leads to a profound sense of powerlessness, when your efforts inevitably fall short, which then fuels resentment and the very arguments you wish to avoid. Consider the pervasive desire to be the choice and not just an option. This desire, when unchecked by the sovereign you, often leads to a desperate attempt to manipulate outcomes. You might subtly, or not so subtly, try to orchestrate situations, interpret silence, or analyze his every move, all in an attempt to secure his unwavering devotion or attention. This is the mind current, the needy mind, at work, battling against the you sovereign that knows its value is inherent, not dependent on external validation. The more you chase, the more you subtly push away, because authentic attraction stems from a place of self-possession, not a pursuit of external control. The repeated conflicts then arise from this clash: your desire to control and his natural resistance to being controlled. From a Vedic perspective, attempting to control another person's actions or mind is an act against dharma, against the natural flow of cosmic law. Everyone is on their own karmic journey, unfolding according to their unique lessons and evolution. While we can influence through our own transformation and presence, direct control is an illusion. The true power lies in understanding your own dharma, your purpose, your inherent truth, and aligning your actions with it, regardless of external circumstances. When you are rooted in your dharma, your presence becomes magnetic, naturally attracting what is aligned with your highest good without the need for manipulation or forced control. A practical technique rooted in Raja Yoga to overcome this error is the circle of influence and concern. Draw 2 concentric circles. In the inner circle, write down everything you have direct control over: your thoughts, your reactions, your choices, your actions, your will, your you. In the outer circle, write down everything you do, not have direct control over: another person's thoughts, feelings, actions, opinions, the weather, the past, the future. The error of external control occurs when you spend most of your mental and emotional energy focused on the outer circle. The exercise is this. When a repetitive argument arises or you find yourself obsessing over what he's doing or thinking, consciously shift your attention back to your inner circle. Ask yourself, what can I control in this moment? What is my sovereign you instructing me to do or think? This could be choosing to remain silent, choosing to observe your emotions without identification, choosing to articulate your needs clearly without blame, or simply choosing to redirect your attention to something that empowers you. This consistent redirection, this bringing of your focus back to your own domain, builds the muscle of your will. The quiet revolution begins when you realize that your peace is not dependent on his actions, but on your masterful control of your own mind. This is why the paradox holds true. The less you try to control him, the more you embody your own power, and the more compelling your presence becomes. This is the Raja Yoga's secret to dominating anxiety of waiting and transforming it into a powerful force of attraction. It is the ultimate freedom from the constant struggle, allowing you to engage with the relationship from a place of inner strength and unshakable serenity. We have traversed the landscape of 3 profound mental errors that subtly, yet powerfully, perpetuate the recurring battles within your relationships. The error of emotional identification, the error of projection and unmet needs, and the error of external control and mind reading. These are not mere psychological quirks. They are deeply ingrained habits of the non-you, the mind and ego, that divert you from the unshakable center of your sovereign you. Each repetition of conflict is not a sign of your brokenness, but a sacred echo, an insistent call from your true self, urging you to turn inward and reclaim your inherent power. The journey we've outlined is one of radical self-responsibility, not in a blaming sense, but in an empowering one. It acknowledges that while external circumstances and others' actions play a part, your deepest liberation lies in mastering your internal kingdom. The anxiety that paralyzes you when waiting for a response, the exhaustion of trying to be the perfect woman, the deep fear that your intensity is too much, the pain of loving a projection rather than a real person. All these stem from a fundamental misalignment with your you. They are symptoms of a mind that has forgotten its rightful place as an instrument of your will, rather than its master. Imagine your you as a magnificent, steady sun, radiating light and warmth. Your emotions and thoughts are like planets orbiting this sun. When you make the error of emotional identification, you essentially jump onto one of these planets, becoming consumed by its particular atmosphere and gravitational pull, forgetting that you are the sun, the source of all light and life in your own system. The practice of observation, of disidentification, is the gradual process of stepping off these emotional planets and reclaiming your central position. It is the steady, quiet discipline of the Raja Yogi, who understands that true power lies not in controlling the external cosmos, but in becoming the unwavering center of one's own inner universe. The error of projection is akin to painting an elaborate landscape onto a mirror and then becoming heartbroken when the mirror does not reflect the world you've created, but rather the reality of what is truly there. It's the yearning for someone else to complete a picture only your own hand can finish. Your deepest desire for emotional sovereignty, for an unshakable self-esteem, for attracting a relationship that mirrors your own depth. These desires are met not by finding the perfect external peace, but by realizing that you are already whole. The self-reflection of needs exercise gently guides you to understand that the fulfillment you seek is an internal resource, available through your own conscious access to your you. This transforms craving into a powerful magnetic presence. Finally, the error of external control is the futile attempt to steer another ship across the ocean when your own vessel needs your undivided attention. It's the belief that you can truly find peace by dictating the course of another's journey, rather than mastering the sails and rudder of your own. The repeated fights often escalate because they become battlegrounds for control, rather than opportunities for authentic connection. The circle of influence and concern exercise is a potent reminder of where your true power lies. In your own will, in your own choices, in your own you. This is how you transmute the anxiety of waiting into a force of attraction, not by forcing an outcome, but by embodying your own intrinsic power. The wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita teaches us about dharma, our inherent purpose, and the pitfalls of attachment to the fruits of action. In relationships, this means understanding that your dharma is to act from your you, to cultivate conscious connection, to love with devotion that does not diminish your identity, and to grow through the lessons presented. The outcome of the relationship, whether it lasts, whether it thrives in a specific way, is not entirely within your control. Your peace, therefore, cannot be tethered to it. Your peace must emanate from your sovereign you. This journey is not without its challenges. Your mind will protest. It has been accustomed to ruling, to reacting, to seeking validation externally. But each time you gently yet firmly reclaim your will, each time you choose to observe rather than identify, each time you focus on your inner circle of influence, you are forging a path of true liberation. This is not about superficial empowerment. It is about activating the deep, ancient power of your you. You are not broken, and there is nothing inherently wrong with you. You are on a journey of profound self-discovery, and every relationship challenge is an invitation to deepen your understanding of who you truly are, an unshakable, sovereign being. As we conclude this exploration, remember that the true transformation in your relationships begins and ends within you. The recurring fights, the patterns of disappointment, the silent frustrations. These are not random occurrences, but rather precise invitations from the cosmos, guided by the intricate dance of karma and dharma, urging you to awaken to your inherent sovereignty. Each moment of tension, each feeling of vulnerability, is an opportunity to practice the disciplines of Raja Yoga, to strengthen your will, and to firmly establish your you as the undisputed master of your inner world. The path of emotional sovereignty is not one of emotional detachment or cold independence. Quite the opposite. It is the path to truly authentic connection, because when you are rooted in your you can engage with another not from a place of neediness or fear, but from a place of overflowing fullness. You can love with the conscious devotion exemplified by Radha, who pours her heart without losing her divine identity. You can embody the resilience of Kunti, who faced immense challenges with unwavering inner strength. Your relationships then cease to be battlegrounds for unmet needs and become sacred spaces for mutual growth, reflection, and spiritual evolution. This profound shift from identifying with the non-you, the anxious mind, the wounded ego, the fearful emotions, to centering in the you is a continuous practice. It requires vigilance, patience, and unwavering self-compassion. There will be days when the old patterns reassert themselves, when the mind tries to pull you back into its familiar dramas. Acknowledge these moments without judgment. Simply observe. Then, gently, yet firmly, bring your attention back to your breath, back to the silent power within your you. This consistent redirecting is your most potent practice. Consider this. What if the silence from your partner, the unexpected distance, or the very intensity of the argument is not a rejection, but a profound invitation from the universe for you to finally and completely hear the voice of your own you? What if every challenge is precisely the catalyst you need to transcend old patterns and step into a new, more powerful version of yourself? This journey of self-mastery is the ultimate love story, the journey of falling deeply and truly in love with your own sovereign, you. If this profound shift in perspective resonates with your deepest longings, if you are weary of superficial advice and truly ready to cultivate an unshakable inner peace that transforms your relationships from the inside out, then I invite you to join our growing community. This space is dedicated to women like you, introspective souls who seek not just tips for fleeting relief, but timeless wisdom for lasting liberation. Subscribe to our channel right now to continue this journey of self-mastery and emotional sovereignty. By subscribing, you ensure you don't miss future insights, practical Raja Yoga techniques, and Vedic wisdom that empowers you to transcend the common pitfalls of modern relationships. Hit the notification bell too, so you're always informed when a new video is released. If today's message illuminated a path for you, share this video with a sister, a friend, or any woman you know who is silently suffering from repetitive relationship patterns and yearns for true inner freedom. Your share can be the catalyst for her own profound awakening. And remember, your journey to becoming the unshakable center of your own universe begins now, with the conscious choice to master your mind and reclaim your sovereign you.